Hello and welcome. I am Sean Chubb, a pasture to profit consultant from LIC, and today we'll be going over the spring turnout of cows. When preparing for spring turnout, it all starts in the autumn. How you finish your final rotation in the autumn will have a huge impact on your spring pasture, how your cows perform off it, and your management decisions, so we need to get this right. As your closing covers have a direct impact on your opening covers, ensuring you shut your farm at the right time is important, and to which time and level of cover will vary from farm to farm. If we take this feed wedge here as our closing covers, and knowing what we normally grow over winter, from closing to turnout, this is important so we shut up the farm at the right covers so you have sufficient grass come turnout. You may actually plate less in the spring than what you did with your autumn closing covers. Don't worry about this. The actual dry matter is still the same, it's just the volume of grass is decreased. So when you're doing your spring rotation planner, use the dry matter from your autumn covers. Spring block covers should end with a wedge similar to what is shown on the screen to enable them to milk off of grass longer at the tail end of the season. It will also mean they do not lose quality while the cows are still calving down. Autumn block and all year round farmers should have a flatter wedge through having a faster final rotation, as shown here by the blue line. This is because they need to clear out the paddocks before they house their cows for mating in winter. This also helps them in the spring as they will have high demand of grass at turnout with all cows and milk. Key points for shutting up in autumn. Know your target average farm cover at turnout. Know what you normally grow over winter. Clear out pastures to ensure no dead leaf is in the base come spring. Proper grazing of grass in the autumn will help prevent winter kill. After the weather events of the last 12 months, these are some of the potential issues with turning out that farmers may face this spring. Limited supplement feed on offer, with as less was made on farm last year, and the majority, if not all of it, was required to get through the drought. Lower average farm covers than what would normally be targeted, as farmers have tried to milk on longer off of grass in the autumn. Late winter conditions, similar to what we saw last year. Poor quality grass, as covers have gone over 3,200 kgs of dry matter. This is more likely to be an issue for autumn block calvers and all year round farmers who have not been able to graze any of their milking platforms since the cows have been housed. If limited supplement feed is on offer and you are not looking to buy in any extra, then the use of nitrogen when soil temperature increases will enable you to grow more grass and reduce your supplement demand. This can be seen through this example. If your cows require 17 kgs of dry matter when they are turned out, then having a high average farm cover and not decreasing the average farm cover too quickly will help to reduce supplement requirements. So 200 cows are getting 0.81 hectare per day at the start of turnout and entering paddocks with covers of 2,800 kg dry matter and grazing down to 1,500 kg of dry matter. So we see here that on a per hectare basis, there's 1,300 kgs of dry matter available, but as we're only giving 0.81 of a hectare, this means that there's only 1,053 kgs of dry matter of grass available to be eaten. And when we divide this by 200 cows, it works out to be 5.27 kgs of dry matter per cow. When we subtract this from the cow's requirement of 17 kgs of dry matter, this means that we need to put in 11.73 kgs of dry matter from supplement. Now if we use the same example, but exchange the entry covers from 2,800 to 3,200 kgs of dry matter, but keep the residuals at 1,500, then we can see that there's actually more grass available on a per hectare basis, moving from 1,300 up to 1,700. But for the 0.81 of a hectare, this means that there is 1,377 kgs of dry matter available to be eaten versus the 1,053. When working it out on a per cow basis, this means that there's 6.89 kgs of dry matter per cow. Again, when we subtract this away from the total cows requirement, this means that we need to top up 10.11 kgs of dry matter from supplement. As you can see, that the supplement feed demand reduces by 1.6 kgs of dry matter per cow through having higher entry covers. Alternatively, you could look to slow your rotation down at turnout to allow covers to build in front of you. If you're going to use this tactic, it is important that you monitor your growth rates closely to ensure that the entry covers do not go over 3,200 kgs of dry matter, and that you either lower your average farm covers as you approach Magic Day, or have a clear plan of pulling out paddocks for silage. It is also important to ensure that you monitor the residuals, as with the higher entry covers, it will be harder for your cows to reach the residual target of 1,500 kgs of dry matter. If your farm cover is lower than what you would normally target, then the best approach is to start with a slow rotation to help build covers. This graph shows this through a trial done in New Zealand, with 3 types of grazing covers and rotation speed. The green is a high cover slow rotation, the red is a low cover fast rotation, and the blue is a low cover slow rotation. So here we're focusing on the blue and red lines. And as you can see, that the blue is able to lift up the average farm cover, therefore being able to provide more feed for cows in that second rotation than what is seen in the red. Please note that this study was undertaken in New Zealand, so the months are 6 months out for the UK. So July is equal to January and August is to February. If you're in a position where you have low covers and limited supplement, which will not support you through to Magic Day, then one option might be to reduce the demand of feed on farm. This could be through moving stock off the milking platform, be it dry cows or replacements, lower the number of cows that you will milk this season. Another option is to increase the amount of feed that is grown by the use of nitrogen. This is a riskier option, as you'll need the soil temperature to be above 7 degrees to get any worthwhile response from it. If we get another late winter, like we did last year, after cows have been turned out, then we need to protect the soil and ensure cows continue to keep producing. To keep your paddocks looking like the photo on the left and not like the one on the right, we can use the following options. On-off grazing. Only leave the cows on the paddocks long enough to eat out the grass and then get them off again. Use different gateways for entry and exit, or even go as far as dropping the fence along the track and paddock. Cows like to see where they are placing their feet, so we'll look for the driest and least muddiest areas to walk. If you have the feed and the conditions are going to last for more than a couple of days, then look to rehouse the cows until conditions are right for them to graze again. Increasing the area can help to reduce damage, as the cows will be able to spread out over a large area. If you undertake this tactic, you will need to have a plan for getting back onto your rotation plan to ensure you have enough feed at the end of the rotation. The higher quality grass growth at the back end of autumn and over the winter, there's a risk for autumn block and all year round farmers to have a quality issue with their grass. If you have paddocks that are growing in the fourth leaf, you'll be losing quality. The dying or dead leaves lose digestibility and energy. A normal leaf has 70 to 85% digestibility and 12 to 12.5 megajoules of energy, whereas a dead leaf will be 40 to 50% digestibility and 6.5 megajoules of energy. If you put your cows onto these paddocks, it will impact on their production, but these paddocks need to be cleared out to encourage growth and tillering through the rest of the year. So how do we do this without impacting production? Using non-milking stock to eat out these paddocks. These could be young stock or dry cows. Turning out cows earlier, so long as ground conditions can support it. If you only have milking cows to clear out these paddocks, then try to graze them out as quickly as possible without these paddocks making up too much of their daily feed. Key points for turning out. Protect the soil. So on-off grazing if the farm is at risk of soil damage. Cows can consume their daily feed requirements within 6 to 8 hours. First round's for the farm, second is for the cow. So ensure paddocks are grazed out properly. Aim for residuals of 1500 kgs of dry matter or 3 to 4 centimeters, but you can graze as low as 1200 kgs of dry matter without hampering growth rates. Early turnout and spring management is key. For every 1% of your farm that is grazed by the end of February, an extra 14 kgs of dry matter is grown per hectare by the 10th of April. High entry covers mean you can either push production or reduce supplement feed on offer. The spring rotation planner is a combination of rotation length, area allocation, and average cover from the time you turn out through until magic day. Rotation length is set to ensure that you meet your average cover targets throughout the spring, and the first step to this is setting the opening rotation. Depending on your turnout date, farm cover, and time until magic day will determine your opening rotation. Your rotation length will dictate the area allocation, and as the rotation speeds up, your area allocation will also increase. Monitoring of the average farm cover is to help you with the adjustment of your rotation speed. Here we see the average farm cover was over the target, then it dropped below the target, and then tracked along for the rest of spring to the target line. 1 week above or below the target cover line is fine, but if this continues to track away from your target line, then you'll need to adjust your rotation accordingly to ensure that you are at your desired average farm cover of between 1900 to 2100 kgs of dry matter at magic day. If you're new to rotational grazing and don't know where to begin with setting an opening rotation length, then the following example will help to give you a starting point. We know that the desired entry cover for the second rotation is 2,800 kgs of dry matter. And if we know the residuals that we're expecting to get, and we know what the current growth rates are, then we can work out the rotation length that will see the area grazed grow back to 2,800 kgs of dry matter by the time of next grazing. So here we have the entry cover that we're wanting of 2,800 minus a residual of 1,500. So we need to grow 1,300 kgs of dry matter. And we're currently growing at 20 kgs of dry matter per hectare per day. So this means that a starting rotation of 65 days will see us back to the 2,800 in this time frame. From here, we draw a line down to 21 days at your magic day and increase the area allocation to meet this timeline. If you're turning out cows in February, a starting rotation length of 80 to 120 days is as slow as you would need to go. This will depend on your growing season and current covers. Having a rough idea as to when your farm will reach magic day is important, as predicting it too late could see grass quality drop, or too soon could see you run out of grass before magic day. So to work this out, we need to know the cow's energy requirements, the amount of energy in the feed that they're getting, how much supplement that they're going to be fed around this time, the number of cows, and then the milking platform area. When we put this all into numbers, we're saying that the cow's energy requirement is 220. Now, if you're not too sure when or what your energy requirement is for your cows, go onto the AHDB website and look up the Feeding Plus documents, and in there you'll be able to find out you'll be able to work out what your cow's energy requirements will be at that time, given their production and body size and all of that. So here we're saying that our cows are requiring 220 megajoules of energy. The energy in the feed is 12 megajoules of energy, so the cows are needing to eat 18.3 kgs of dry matter. We're feeding 2 kgs in the parlour, so this means 16.3 kgs of dry matter needs to come from grass. We have 200 cows, so the total grass demand for the herd is 3,267 kgs of dry matter per day. And when we divide this by the number of hectares on the milking platform, this gives us a growth required to meet this demand of 50 kgs of dry matter per hectare per day. So once the farm's growing at this level, it is at the same level as the cow's demand, so therefore we're in balance. Key points on a spring rotation planner. Spring rotation planner is a living document, so keep updating it throughout the spring. So this should be done on a weekly basis after you've done your weekly pasture walk. If average farm cover is increasing above or decreasing below your target cover line, adjust your rotation accordingly. If you increase the area given to your cows to try to avoid soil damage, have a plan for getting your average cover and rotation back onto your plan. Aim for 30 to 40% of your farm graze in February and 70 to 60% in March. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this has been of help to you. If you have any questions, please get in contact with your local Farming Connect officer and they'll be able to pass on the questions through to me.